Hello lovely friends, it's Alora. Welcome back to another video on the Girl Becoming channel. I'm here today to talk about the top 5 books that I need to read this summer. I'm sure that many of you are in the same predicament, but my TBR pile is like probably half a mile long now if you were to, stack them out back to back on the ground. Maybe I should go bigger. Would it like reach the moon if I stacked them upright? It's intense. I feel a little bit guilty about it because I keep buying books, but there are some books that I've purchased that I really wanted to read right when I purchased them and I just didn't for whatever reason. You know how it goes. Maybe you're reading something else, maybe the book looks intimidating and is too long, maybe you have a lot of life stuff going on, whatever the case may be. Anyhow, I have a stack of 5 books that are at the top of my list for books that I really, truly feel like I would feel better having read. So the first book on my list is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. Now I have read 2 of Haruki Murakami's books. I read 1Q84, which is probably his most famous one. That's arguable, he's written so many books. But 1Q84 was a tremendously long surrealist novel based in Tokyo, and it took me a couple tries to get into it, to be honest. But once I read through, once I committed to it, it was such a satisfying journey, the way that all of the very disparate pieces very slowly started to come together and coalesce until it created this masterpiece of a story. And so I know that he can do that. I have faith in him. The other book of his that I've read is his memoir, which is what I talk about when I talk about running, but that's a very different thing. This book, I believe, will be more along the lines of 1Q84. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle is another one of his more famous books, and it centers around this young man who's living in Tokyo who loses his wife, ? And so he has to journey into the Tokyo underground world of like grittiness and crime in order to find his wife. I really adore the way that he puts words together and that his work has been translated into English, and so I'm really excited to read this. The only trouble is that it's like a 600-page long book with very, very tiny font on pretty good sized pages, so it's a little intimidating, but I know that I just need to pick it up and start going because I'm sure that I will be mesmerized and enchanted by this book. The second book that I really would like to read this summer is actually at my apartment and not with me here in this space that is blank and not my home. And so I'll just put a picture up here, and that is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is a book that I have heard Reagan on Peru's Project gushing about for what feels like ages, and this book won the Hugo Award. The second book in the series won the Hugo Award the next year, and then for a 3rd consecutive year, the final book in the trilogy won the Hugo Award, which is just absolutely insane and crazy and means that it's something that caught my eye. This is a very uniquely told story where part of the book is told in second person, and a huge part of the plot revolves around the Earth, the actual Earth, which is creating all of these natural disasters, all of these huge city-leveling earthquakes and such. And so civilization has to continuously rebuild itself, which is a huge part of the plot, but I've barely started it, so I can't really say that much about it, and I don't want to spoil myself, but I truly trust that it's going to be one of the most intricate and interesting fantasy novels that I have ever read. Maybe I'm putting a little too much pressure on it. The third book that I would like to get to this summer is The People in the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara. Hanya Yanagihara is the author of A Little Life, which is one of my all-time favorite books. A Little Life tells the story of 4 men over the course of 3 decades, and it's so beautiful, such a tearjerker, and so immaculately written that I just can't help but to want to read her other book. At the same time, I have this problem where if I really love an author's work, but just one book, sometimes I don't want to pick up any of their other works because I'm worried that I won't like it as much and that it will kind of ruin my view of the author, or that I don't know, it's like a kind of stupid fear, but it's a fear nonetheless, or maybe not fear, maybe slight anxiety. Fear might be too strong of a word. But The People in the Trees is the story of a man who goes off into the Micronesian islands in search of a lost tribe. Okay, that's not really a premise that interests me, but I really want to put my trust in this author because she has come through for me before. So this book is supposed to be haunting and multi-layered. It's set in the 1950s, and I'm just curious to see, you know, how it compares, if there are any parallels with A Little Life, or if it's a completely different ballgame. Number 4 on my list is a departure from all of the adult literary fiction that I've just showed you, and the adult surrealist fiction and the adult fantasy, and that is the YA graphic novel Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki, and I think it's illustrated by Rosemary Valero O'Connell. This is beautiful. The artwork is absolutely stunning, and it's black and white with pops of pink, which is just so lovely. And it tells the story of this young 17-year-old girl who is in love with this other girl in her school named Laura Dean, and it's a really toxic relationship. Laura Dean has no regard for Freddie, the main character's feelings, and this is a story about toxic relationships as well as how toxic relationships affect one's friendships. And, you know, when people really come through for one another, and when, you know, sometimes you drop the ball on your friends and the repercussions of that. So this is definitely a top summer read. Finally, this summer, it is important for me to pick up The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This book has been sitting on my TBR shelf for far too long for the amount of praises I have heard sung. This book takes place in Barcelona in the 1940s and follows a young boy whose, I think his mother collects rare books. Anyhow, on a trip, he finds this really strange novel that starts to, I don't know if it impacts his life or if it like foretells his life. I'm not sure. I get the feeling that this book is very magical, but I actually don't know, because I feel like every time somebody talks about it, they're like, ooh, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. It's better if you go in without knowing that much about it. So I know that it's supposed to be very enchanting, very wondrous, very beautifully written, and that's all I really need to know. Also the fact that it's a novel, and so it's a standalone. I don't have to read a series. Like I've mentioned, I really like finishing things, and so short books are preferable for me, as are standalones, because I don't feel like it's as big of a commitment. And so this isn't a short book, but it is a standalone, which means it is a story in and of itself. It is complete as it is, and I'm just really looking forward to getting to it. Oh, I just noticed there's gold leaf inlay on the cover. That's so gorgeous. All right, those are the top 5 books that I want to get to this summer season. Let me know down below which one you think I should read first. If you've read any of them, let me know what you thought about them, and let me know how the temperatures are for you, because I'm in Alaska right now and it is freaking hot. It has been in the high 80s and the low 90s, which is unprecedented, and it's been this way for weeks, and it will continue to be this way supposedly for the next few weeks, and I just don't understand. I'm not here for it. I'm a sweater weather type gal. I don't believe in dressing for summer, so I'm kind of dying over here. But yeah, let me know how your summer's going. I hope that you are having a beautiful time, and I can't wait to see you next. All right, until next time, sending love.